If you're the kind of person that peeks through the folds of the wrapping paper at Christmas ahead of the big day, you may well have already had a poke around to see what the next America's Cup in Naples might look like. If so, you've probably seen this video. But if not, and you want to know what AC38 in the summer of 2027 will look like, this will give you a pretty good idea. We don't normally run promo videos in our editorial features, but this is a really good illustration of what's being planned for the big event. It reminds me of the huge amount of work that went into Valencia for the 32nd Cup, and the way that the waterfront area of the city was transformed between 2004 and 2007. And so, to find out a bit more, I caught up with America's Cup event director Leslie Ryan. So, if you're curious, take a look, but be prepared. Just like peeping through the paper, knowing what's in store can make the wait feel even longer. Leslie, great to catch up with you. I mean, the first thing that strikes me is this is a huge project, but I guess you're starting from a blank sheet of paper, effectively, in that this is an open piece of land. Tell us a bit about how it's all come about.
Yeah, so the area of Bagnoli, when we looked at Naples as a venue, you know, the first thing we look at is the race area and the conditions, and that ticked many boxes. It's a perfect race area. You know, the city of Naples overlooks the race venue, etc. The next biggest challenge always is to look for the team base area, because physically we need a large chunk of land next to deep water, not too far away from the race area. So that's inevitably not easy to find. In Naples, the bids team presented us with Bagnoli, is the name of the area. It's an area just on the outskirts of the city of Naples. It was a steel factory site and has not been used as a steel factory. So it's literally a large green field next to deep water. So when I saw it first, I thought, wow, that's a huge opportunity, exciting.
Which is quite different to the challenge you faced in Barcelona, wasn't it? Because you were trying to sort of shoehorn the cup into an existing port.
Exactly, and in Barcelona we scratched our head a lot because we could never have a row of bases. You know, the bases had to be positioned around the port, which kind of worked and added a charm to the event. I always say the America's Cup has to fit the venue, not the other way around, and you have to create an event that works for the geography. Here in Bagnoli we have a chance to create what I call America's Cup Row. a set of team bases next to each other that really brings the hub, the technology, the teams, the boats, the sailors to an area. And, that's the opportunity we have in front of us.
I mean, we know the Italians are absolutely nuts for the America's Cup. Every time there's been an Italian team, they go crazy for it. What's the atmosphere like down there at the moment? Has it started to build up? Can you feel it? Can you feel the excitement, enthusiasm down there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have never met, having just spent 3 years in Barcelona, the enthusiasm was great, but this is on another scale, which is amazing. It's so captivating when you have that energy, that enthusiasm. Even that, like I used to always think Auckland was the only place where a taxi driver would know what the Cup was. And in Naples, if I get any taxi, they know the America's Cup. So they say, what are you here for? Are you working? And you say the words America's Cup, and they immediately go, oh yeah, Luna Rossa, America's Cup. So uber excitement, very, very high level of knowledge about the America's Cup, which is really impressive and great as a platform to work from. I think without really doing much, the venue will be rammed. So that presents opportunities and is great, but equally it presents challenges, which is something they have to deal with.
I mean, it must be particularly hard this time around because, one, with the Cup due to take place in 2027, that's not very far away. You don't need reminding of that.
No, definitely not.
But also, it's not entirely clear yet how many teams are going to take part.
Yep.
Given that you're doing this from a sort of a blank sheet of paper and you say you describe sort of America's Cup Row, does that make it a little less daunting? Because you could sort of expand to the number of teams that turn up?
Yeah, and I, because my role is very operational and I'm very time scale oriented, that's how I work or how my brain has to work to make it all happen. There's certain stages where I would say the train has to leave the station. We have to get on with it. As you say, 2027 is round the corner. The teams will want to come to Naples be training by next June. So that's really not very far, less than a year. So all of those amazing facilities that you saw in the video have to be in place. We have to give the teams their land by the 1st of April next year. And the teams then build their bases in that period in order to be training by next June. So definitely a considerable amount of work to be done over the coming months.
By next June, you're talking about June 26th?
June 2026, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so the teams want to and will be there in June 2026, and some of them will stay for a whole year because the Cup will start in May 2027. So some of them will just stay there permanently, like Alinghi did in Barcelona, and some of them, maybe Luna Rossa and the Team New Zealand, might go back and forth to their home countries. But, those operating facilities have to be in place in a very short period of time.
Really? So at the beginning of the summer next year, there will already be stuff to see. If you want to go down and actually see the America's Cup, there will be stuff going on.
Very much so, and just seeing the boats out training. The ambition is to hold up to 3 preliminary regattas during 2026, which is, again, around the corner. And that's all being discussed and thought about at the moment in AC40s.
But they're in different venues, aren't they?
They could be in different venues, but we'd like to do one in Naples, in probably with the sort of a year to go plan in ahead. For me, operationally, I always like to do a test event. I would call it. You do that in the Olympics, and it gives, it's probably the best marketing tool you have for the event to come a year later. People see it. And remember, we did the preliminary regattas in Naples in 2013, and that era showed already how popular they were. So, I think it would be, that in my head, that's, a preliminary regatta in June next year, and then that's a year to go of before the main event.
One of the observations, I'll put it that way, from Barcelona last year, from friends and other people who sort of went down there that I heard from, was that they couldn't actually see the boats. I mean, they could see the boats on the screen and they were wrapped up in the buzz of it, but they couldn't get close to the boats. Is that going to be different in Naples?
Yeah, so the concept that we've been working on for some months now of this America's Cup Row, if I can call it that, is to create, build what I'd call an AC tech fan zone. I've used that to build a fan zone next to the team bases, because that, I'm a fan. I want to hang out where the boats are. I want to see the sailors. I want to see the crane in and out. Those dock out shows in Barcelona were insane. And like you say, people want to get close to that action. Of course they want to watch the racing, but the majority of us who follow the sport watch the racing in front of a big screen these days. And so seeing all the buzz and the action and the preview shows and the interviews before what we'll do in that Bagnoli site is build a tech zone behind, which will also have big screens, dock out shows, dock in shows, etc. So that's the plan, is to really, a bit like the Valencia model.
Yeah.
If you remember back to those days, the ability to get near the team bases, to see all that action happening, to go into the, you all remember the Alinghi experience zone. It was amazing. So that's something we want to rebuild, some of that feeling.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that would go down well. And of course, that was in New Zealand as well, wasn't it? Down in 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
It's a similar kind of
very much so.
setup.
Yeah, and you were able to, as a visitor, you could walk from base to base. You could, and the visibility of the boats, the sailors, the technology, if you like. That's what people really, we all love to lap that up.
Well, I'm excited already. I'm going to go away and have a look on Airbnb straight away.
I know, exactly. Naples is an amazing city. It's very authentic. It's very Italian, which you can't help but feel the passion and the enthusiasm of the
Did you know
locals.
it much before you went down there?
Hardly at all. I literally had been to that America's Cup event back in 2013, and that was it. So I don't know it well at all. It's really beautiful, and I think every time I'm there, every 2 weeks at the moment, and obviously I'll relocate there, but every time I go there, just looking at where the racecourse is going to be is spectacular. So I'm very excited.
Good for food as well.
Very good for food, yes. Dangerous.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Leslie. I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.